Many years ago, I watched the iconic anime series Tenchi Universe, and I've been depressed ever since then because I wanted more. So I went to a doctor and they said the only way to cure my depression would be for a spiritual successor to that specific Tenchi series to be released upon the world. And he also said the only way for that to ever happen would be for a bunch of otaku to do it themselves in America and raise the money through crowdfunding. But there's no way that that would actually happen now, is there? That's just ridiculous. Huh. Wow, now this is something I never thought would happen. But here we are. Tenchi is back. Kind of. Hopefully. In the future. I mean, one of the real versions of Tenchi is trying to make a comeback. If you ask me, the Tenchi franchise mostly consists of the original OVAs, the original movie trilogy, Tenchi Universe, and Tenchi in Tokyo. Sure, there's more Tenchi out there, but these really were the golden years for the franchise. And while there's at least some good in every version of Tenchi, it felt like those classic years were all but forgotten forever, until Armature Entertainment returned with another one of their classic anime via America release schemes. Oh, you guys. And thanks to them, Tenchi might return in 2008. But of course, here at Kenshi No Video, we don't like to speculate. We like to speak in absolutes, like Mad Bull 34 being a perfect piece of art, Sailor Mars being the best Sailor Scout, and Love Live being just as punk rock as Minor Threat, just to name a few of the facts of life that we like to live by. But today, we are going to speculate on something for once that hopefully becomes a reality. Yes, hopefully we look back on this and say, yeah, Tenchi was right once again. So, what am I even talking about here exactly? Well, remember how I mentioned Armature Entertainment just a second ago? Well, that's the company that released the pretty amazing graphic novel of the American version of TenchiMuyo. They decided to release this through Kickstarter and they destroyed their goal, which was so heartwarming to see because it just meant that people really do still care about Washu. I backed the thing, and like I mentioned in the past, the product was pretty amazing. Yeah, these guys released something that every Tenchi fan would be proud to own and say, yeah, that's certainly something that sits on my shelf now. However, Armature Entertainment teased that there could be more Tenchi around the corner. And I'm sure that I'm not the only one that assumed this meant another American-produced comic. They had a little bit more up their sleeves. Yep, these crazy weebs are now trying their darndest to kickstart a whole spiritual successor to the Tenchi Universe TV series. Yeah, you heard that right. These guys want to make a brand new anime series called Tenchi Galaxy, which also means we're living in a world where a new Tenchi series could be around the corner because it was crowdfunded in America, but with the help of a lot of important people from the original production. Yeah, that's kind of weird when you think about it, isn't it? Luckily, I like weird things, so I'm all about it. So yes, if you're watching this while it's fresh, you can be part of Tenchi history. Or perhaps, Tenchery? That's not even a good pun. At least until September 7th, 2026 at 3 p.m. Central Time, because that's when the Kickstarter concludes, and somehow I have a feeling that this thing is going to get funded, but that doesn't mean that you can't be part of this shared experience with your Tenchi community. Yes, we do indeed live in a world where the only way to get a new Tenchi Universe series, called Tenchi Galaxy, is to have it crowdfunded in America. But that's okay. And as a result, the main focus here seems to concentrate on the American side of Tenchi fandom, which means this series will get an English dub with mostly the original cast before it gets a Japanese one. And I must say, as someone who always loved the original English cast, this is amazing news. They even have the original voice of Ryoko, Patria Burchard, making promo videos for them. And on that note, how does her voice sound the exact same after all of these years? I guess it's true what they say, space pirates really don't age. And of course, the project features some stretch goals like a Japanese audio track, a 4K upgrade, and a making of documentary, plus possibly even more once they reach those goals. So there's quite a bit to look forward to here for all of the fans that have been waiting at least 1,000 years for this very moment. Oh, and also, we haven't even talked about who's behind the scenes yet, have we? Well, that's where this project becomes a lot more Japanese, because they have pulled together an all-star cast of ghosts from Tenchi past, including Hiroshi Negishi, who directed, among other things, arguably the greatest anime movie ever, TenchiMuyo in Love. He also directed the original Tenchi universe, of course, so even if they didn't have anyone else involved, this series would be in some good hands, but they did their homework here and they have a lot of amazing creators along for the ride. Now, one thing that is important to keep in mind is that this whole campaign is to fund a pilot for the series. Don't forget that. They are hoping to turn that pilot into a full anime series, but it's pretty early in this anime crowdfunding journey, so who really knows what's going to happen at the end of the day. Also, let's be a little bit more honest here. Just because something is funded through Kickstarter doesn't mean it will ever actually get made or released. Luckily, these guys have a fire track record with their last project, but creating a brand new animated product is a lot more complex than re-releasing some older, mostly forgotten comics. That being said, this entire team that's involved with this project seems to be very passionate and committed to doing it the right way, so I have total faith in them. And if you do decide to support this thing on Kickstarter, like many others already have, you can even walk away with a bigger bag of souvenirs than you would ever get at Disney World or even a furry convention for that matter. You can get Blu-rays, art books, vinyl records, stickers, patches, and even a VHS tape of the pilot itself. Yes, a VHS tape to hang out with all of your other Tenchi VHS tapes. Wow, the future is crazy, isn't it? Sure, you have some companies out there that are trying to make you forget that physical media ever even existed to begin with, but on the other hand, you have true fans in charge of projects like this one that understand physical media is not only important, but essential. I think those are the types of companies we should be supporting as things move forward. And to me, without a doubt, one of the most exciting things about this project is what it could mean, not only for the future of Tenchi, but anime at large. Could we see other franchises return the same way? If there's one thing we can't seem to get enough of, it's a good remake or sequel. And even though we live in a world with plenty of those, could we see more titles that seem to be all but forgotten come back in a similar fashion? What could be next? If Tenchi could do it, does that mean Slayers could be next? How about Oh My Goddess? I know I would throw some money at a campaign to bring back Creamy Mommy. The future could look truly bright for once in our pathetic lives. Wouldn't it be nice to have something to actually look forward to in the future other than just a shallow grave? And at the end of the day, regardless of the outcome, I'm just so happy to see there's so much interest in Tenchi in the modern era of otaku fandom. I knew the fan base for this classic franchise never truly died, but it would be easy to assume that it did with how little you see from it in the scene these days. No figures, no gacha games, no body pillows. But now, we might have a whole new anime series to enjoy. And you know what that means? New figures, new gacha games, new body pillows. All of our prayers and dreams could finally be answered. So Tenchi might return in 2008. And that hope alone makes me so happy. The future looks bright, and I'm more excited than ever for the return of this generation-defining classic. You can see Tenchi's influence all over the place to this very day, from other anime franchises like My Dress-Up Darling to American animation like Steven Universe. So it seems like a perfect time for the return of this legendary series. And honestly, what's the worst that could happen? At the end of the day, sure, Tenchi Galaxy will be better than something like Dragon Ball Evolution, and that's enough for me.